250 days ago and straight up I-95, John Tillman's team fell just short of the ultimate prize by the slimmest of margins. Today, the Big Ten's preseason favorites begin their quest to get back to the promised land. Their first test, the SoCon's defending champs, here to slay one of the sports giants. High Point and Maryland get set to go on Big Ten Plus, and we are set to go as well from Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium. He's Josh Caplan. I'm Ben Curtis. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here on this Saturday afternoon. Welcome back to College Lacrosse, and Josh from Maryland. Once again, the expectations are sky high.
They look to be the top of the Big Ten. They look to get started off today with a non-conference game against a team that has high expectations of themselves too.
As we look at the rest of the preseason poll around the Big Ten, this is a loaded conference this year, Josh.
Yeah, all teams receiving votes in the Big Ten poll. Rutgers in the top 10. It should be a great game today, and it should be a good warm-up for this competitive slate.
And for Maryland, they'll have to start off against High Point. In the past, rather, they've had a lot of success against the Panthers. You look at that 2020 game, that was a season opener, 23 goals for Maryland. Could have been more if not for Parker Green's 20 saves.
Yeah, and he makes a return to College Park today, and he'll have to show up big time for the Panthers to have any chance.
Well, if Maryland's going to have any chance, not only today, but throughout this season, Logan Wisnauskas is going to have to really step up wearing that fabled Maryland #1 jersey.
Yeah, it takes it from Jared Bernhardt, and, you know, he's a completely different player than Jared. More of a step-up shooter, spot down, snipe it from about 20 yards out, but he's still a great player nonetheless.
And on the other side for High Point, they're going to need to get scoring from a lot of different sources. One's going to have to be Hunter Vines.
Yeah, and you know Asher Nolting's going to show up, but it's who's going to play second fiddle to him. Hunter Vines, 26 points last year, a career high, 14 goals, maybe going to have to get closer to that 20 mark this year.
Maryland is 92-3-1 all-time in season openers. They've won 28 straight going back to the 1994 season. Josh, if they're going to continue that trend today, what needs to happen is they shake the rust off from the offseason?
I think it's just playing Maryland lacrosse. You know, Maryland is used to playing a very fast pace. You had the fastest player and the best player in college lacrosse last year in Jared Bernhardt. So now with a little bit of a different style, #1, I don't think you really change anything. I think it's just flowing and keeping the guys around him. You return a lot of players. The flow just needs to stay there.
Missing 99 points that Jared Bernhardt contributed last year, 71 goals. Logan Wisnauskas with 41 goals last season. You expect that to take a bit of a step up with no Bernhardt, but it's going to be more of a cast of characters for Maryland this year, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd expect Wisnauskas to step up. I'd expect maybe a Daniel Maltz to step up with a couple more goals. 9 hat tricks last year for Maltz. And then when you bring in a preseason All-American like Jonathan Donville, it's just more goals.
And there's John Tillman now into his 12th season, 142 wins at the helm of the Terps, 15-1 last season. You look at the 8 Final Fours, 2017 national champions as well. And last season, of course, we've already mentioned it, coming up just short against the Cavaliers. He is once again going to have his team likely playing on Memorial Day weekend again.
Yeah, when you think about the great coaches who are on this campus, you think of John Tillman, you think of Brenda Fries, you think of Kathy Reese, all these great coaches around here, and John Tillman's in that conversation.
There is High Point getting set to go. They look to slay the dragon against Maryland today. In 2020, they came to College Park to open up the 2020 season. Hopefully that's the only similarity between this season and the 2021, which we all know how that finished, and that it didn't. Got cut short rather in March of 2020 when the pandemic hit. But hopefully we should have a full season, fully expect to, and it should be a very exciting season of college lacrosse as well. A lot of teams can lay claim to thinking that they have a chance to go to Memorial Day weekend. There's John Torpy, 2021 SoCon champions. He's been the only head coach in High Point men's lacrosse program history at the D1 level, originally from Baltimore, so a bit of a homecoming for him. And he also played at Ohio State, so plenty of ties to the Big Ten. Of course, Maryland wasn't in the Big Ten at that time, but he knows what it means to play Big Ten lacrosse. Just about set for action here. Maryland and High Point to kick off the 2022 season. And we are underway from a chilly day in College Park. Welcome back to College Lacrosse. And a Maryland offense that averaged nearly 16 goals per game a season ago will start out on the attack. Eric Malever, the sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia, will get things going on this side of the ball, Josh. What does Maryland have to do to convert not only today, but over the course of the season?
Just look for your open shots. You know, they did a great job of doing that last year. When you have, as we brought up multiple times, Jared Bernhardt on the X, he's got that speed. It opened up Wisnauskas a little more. Now more people are going to have to try and find their own shots.
There is Wisnauskas wearing the new jersey, #1. Such a great history of that jersey in this program. Inside it goes for Jonathan Donville. Maryland up and running in 2022.
Jonathan Donville up and running too. The first overall pick in the NLL entry draft starts his Maryland career off right. First shot, first goal.
Maryland scored 8 seconds in 2020 against High Point. This time it doesn't take much more than that at all. And the transfer from Cornell, who was the first overall pick in the NLL draft, opens up his Maryland account in style and in a hurry.
And if you're John Tillman, you couldn't have asked for a better start. A new player, you're trying to get involved early, gets a goal in under 20 seconds.
Ensuing face-off also won by Maryland. Luke Weirman is at the Fogo position, about 45% from X a season ago, and came off the bench in that national championship game to go 14 for 30 against P.D. LaSalle, who's one of the more dominant face-off men, not only in the ACC, but also in the entire nation. So Maryland with a chance to go on offense once more. A little bit more than a minute gone by in this first quarter of play, as Owen Murphy will dodge down the right side. Sophomore from Massachusetts trying to cut it in front. And that time Parker Green came well out of his net to corral it. Green with the 20 saves in the season opener in 2020, as I mentioned, averaged about 12 goals a game allowed last year, but 129 saves. He had 17 saves at Richmond last year. And he's certainly going to have to come up really big for High Point today. They're going to have to lean on their goalie quite a bit. Ball's going to go back to Maryland. And a flag is thrown as well. Here you see the first penalty marker of the day, but first 2 minutes gone by, Josh. You can't ask for much more than that for Maryland.
No, and you see the bench getting into it. You can hear the reaction, and it's just good to see college lacrosse back here at Capital One Field.
High Point got dinged for being offsides there, so the ball will flip back the way of the Terps. And Maryland will be able to work it all the way around. Another whistle and a bit of a choppy start to this game over the first 2 minutes plus. High Point was outscored 73-41 in the first 4 matchups, and the only 4 matchups between these two programs dating back to 2016. It's been something of a recent series history as High Point got their program up and running in the past few decades, but they have really risen towards the top of the ranks in their conference. They're picked to finish first in the SoCon preseason poll. Asher Nolting and Hunter Vines, who we talked about in the Open, both named to the preseason all-conference team. So this is a team with plenty of talent and a team with a loaded schedule as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Here's Wisnauskas. Anthony DeMaio. There's Donville, the goal scorer. Wisnauskas running the show at the top. Haven't talked about Anthony DeMaio much, the 5th-year player from California, as Wisnauskas with a bouncer that skips wide. Maryland there to back it up.
Looked like it bobbled a bit in his pocket there as he was winding up, because you know Logan Wisnauskas is a sharpshooter.
Certainly won't have to ask the Maryland native to shoot twice. Keegan Kahn, the transfer from Villanova, working back from behind X. Nice move to lose his defender. DeMaio rises high. Keegan Kahn, the grad student from New Jersey, was all Big East first team last year. Came to College Park to use that extra year. 26 goals, 32 assists a season ago in Philadelphia. Here's Anthony DeMaio working up top onto his left hand. Back for Donville, almost had a second. Smart save from Parker Green.
And a good save there. Donville looking for his second in quick succession, but a great save from the Panthers goalie.
And now High Point's offense can get going for what's really the first time today. And Logan McNaney called into action for the first time with a good save going low. Maryland wins the ground ball, will be able to come the other way, and now the Terps look to move in transition. Roman Puglisi just lost the ball. He had it in his pocket, and it was right at his feet, but didn't know where it was, and High Point's going to be able to come the other way. That's that early season rust a little bit that you might see for both teams today as they open up the 2022 campaign. Roman Puglisi usually as sure-handed as they come.
Puglisi, DeMaio, you really can't count on 2 more midfielders in the country more than those two in just first game of the season rust, as you mentioned.
So now High Point can get going in their offensive set for what is one of the first times today. And be able to slow things down, an offense that averaged a hair over 13 goals per game last year. And there's Brayden Mayea, a sophomore who is the leading returner in terms of goals scored. 8-6 rather a season ago. High Point 4-1 in conference play. Went to the NCAA tournament first round, lost to Duke, who was eventually eliminated by Maryland in the semifinals as that shot goes wide. Logan McNaney keeping a watchful eye over his crease. Nice pass inside, and once again McNaney is able to stand his ground. It's going to stay with High Point though. Let's take one more look at that.
Yeah, good save from McNaney here, staying up, staying tall.
So as we wait to restart, Logan McNaney a season ago, second team All Big Ten, averaged under 10 goals allowed per game. So here's Koby Russsell for High Point. Swung all the way over to the far side. Good aggressive hit there from Maryland, and McNaney's able to win it back and jumpstart the Maryland defense to offense.
And that's something you're going to see a lot of this season. Maryland only losing one of their three starting defensemen, Matt Rayhill and Brett Makar, both coming back to College Park. The communication is going to be there, and it's just great defense from the Terps.
Malever will run the show back behind X. Nice dish for Wisnauskas. Thought about shooting, but will pull it back. Now Wisnauskas going to let it fly and miss the cage. Malever there to back it up. And Maryland will try once more. So many weapons on this Maryland attack. Malever, Wisnauskas, DeMaio, and the additions of Donville and Kahn, just to name a few. Here's DeMaio, goal line extended. Nice dish, but Donville was unable to get on the receiving end of it. Maryland picks up the ground ball. Here's Wisnauskas with the left hand. New #1 jersey, and he's on the board in 2022.
The player they like to call Groot. Little jump shot from the top.
Take one more look at it. Maryland able to unbalance the defense, and then Logan Wisnauskas, as soon as he gets that half yard of separation, he's going to let it fly.
And it's his 6'3" frame that lets him do this as well, jumping up and over the defenders to get his shot off.
Make it 58 consecutive games with a point for Logan Wisnauskas. The 57-game streak coming into today was the third longest in the nation. And it didn't take long at all for him to add to that streak here today on opening day. Weirman wins the face-off again. Weirman might have it himself. He does. Good save from Green. Fight for the rebound is won by the visitors. High Point will slow things down and allow themselves to get to their offensive set. Jackson Clay was unable to link up there, and that's going to force a turnover. Malever is able to pick it up, and it will roll out a play. The turnovers for High Point, it's going to stay with the Panthers as a matter of fact, but the turnovers for High Point, something they're going to want to keep an eye on. Over 17 a game last season, and you have to play error-free ball when you're coming into the home stadium and the #2 team in the nation.
Yeah, and if you look at their schedule, like you brought up, playing three very good teams, you cannot be committing that many turnovers.
At Maryland, at UVA, home for Duke. Those are the top 3 teams in the nation in the preseason poll. And High Point's got all of them in the first 5 games of the season. That is a welcome back to college lacrosse for John Torpy's squad. But that's the way you get better, isn't it? When you go into a conference like the SoCon, they're going to come in better prepared than anyone else.
Just playing against better teams than you can only turn out well. You're not going to lose anything if you lose. It's a good experience for any of your players, especially with a newer program, only a decade or so old. It's just a great experience for all these players.
chance to see how they measure up before they're heading into conference play towards the end of March. It's another turnover there by High Point, and Maryland's able to pick it up. Terps right there on the scene for all of the ground balls in the early going. And a successful clear as well by Maryland. That's something they did pretty well last season, clearing just over 86%. And able to transition defense into that prolific offense, also something that Maryland's gonna have to keep a watchful eye on this year. Goals from Donville and Wisnauskas as we hit the midway point in the first quarter of play. Owen Murphy gets it back behind X. And now Wisnauskas. That shot was deflected away, and it will roll out. It's gonna go back the other way for High Point. Good hustle from the Panthers. That's the little things that they're gonna have to do well.
Yeah, it's just effort plays. You can't do anything to fault that. You have to make sure you're making all the effort plays to make sure you have a chance.
Although it seems like Maryland has had the lion's share of A, possession of the ball, and B, chances, it's still only a 2-goal game. High Point's been shut out in the first 8 minutes plus of this game, but they're still very much within striking distance, but turnovers like that certainly won't help.
And it's a home run ball like that you think maybe you just try to play it short, try to break through the midfield lines instead of trying to throw something like that at one of the best defenses in the country.
Defense partially led by Matt Rahill, who was able to initiate the possession that time. Rahill, a graduate student, 17 caused turnovers a season ago. One of the best close defenders in the nation. Here's Anthony DeMaio coming back onto the field. Back behind X it goes once again for Kahn. Donville plays catch with Kyle Long, and now Wisnauskas. Terps working all the way around the horn. Back for Kyle Long, now into his senior season. And Donville. High Point keeping Maryland on the perimeter this possession. As Malever comes back goal side. Inside it goes for Donville. It didn't get all the way through. And Green's able to scoop it up. Once again, High Point able to keep Maryland out of those high scoring chance lanes on the hash marks and force difficult shots through a lot of traffic.
Yeah, Terps using most of the shot clock, had to force a shot up there. Good defense from the Panthers.
So will High Point be able to break the seal that they've had on the scoreboard? 10 minutes gone by, no goals to speak of for the Panthers. As they will certainly take their time as well. Here's Koby Russsell, a Maryland native. Bit of a homecoming for him from Lutherville, Maryland, with 8 goals a season ago. Mayea will switch it over to the other side. 22 seconds on the shot clock. There's a shot that fizzes wide. Quick release there, but McNaney was able to watch it go wide to the post. 15 seconds to shoot for the Panthers. They get it up top, a bounce shot that once again deflected wide. Might have been Mayea in front who got a piece of it, and with 2 seconds left on the shot clock, Panthers are going to be out of time on this possession.
Thought it'd be a high-scoring game when the Terps put one in under 20 seconds. Here we are, 2-0. A little bit over 4 minutes to go in the first quarter, and defensive standout.
You have to think the longer this stays, even if it is 2-0 or 3-1, the longer it stays a 2 or 3 goal game, Josh, the more confidence High Point's going to feel, especially with that number 2 next to Maryland's name.
Yeah,
oh, nice move there.
Nice move there from Jack Brennan. If you're John Tillman, you want to get this third and maybe even a 4th goal before this first quarter runs out. Give them absolutely no hope, but stays 2-0, 3-0. Panthers will keep building.
Maryland will try to build offensively, though. Back behind X once again. Goal side for Murphy. Gets out in front of the crease, and Owen Murphy puts it away. Make that Prabilski with his first goal in a Maryland jersey. I was right the first time. It was, in fact, Owen Murphy, number 55 in a Maryland jersey, to make it 3-0.
The transfer from Johns Hopkins had to sit out all of last year because of the transfer. Today makes his Maryland debut, sliding through the defense. Easy goal.
Not so often you see a player cross the rivalry like Owen Murphy does. Of course, the heated, long-time rival between Maryland and Johns Hopkins. Making the trip from Baltimore to College Park and an immediate impact in the red and white of the Terps. That game this year will be in Baltimore, as Maryland once again tries to get going, finds the stick of Malever once more. Here's Jack Brennan. Brennan scored twice against High Point in that season opener of 2020. Now here's Bubba Fairman, whose name we haven't said too much in the early stages. Certainly going to be a key contributor in the midfield, though, with 19 goals a season ago. A point in every game last year, and was a facilitator as well as a goal scorer. Here's Kahn, the transfer, shoots and scores. Keegan Kahn from Chatham, New Jersey, making absolutely no mistake that time. And not one, not two, but 3 transfers on the score sheet already.
All the new guys getting involved. Good move from Kahn behind the cage, wrap around, left shot, low to high.
And we talked about all the returners for Maryland in the open, leading with Wisnauskas, and Wisnauskas has a goal, but as you mentioned, John Tillman's gone out and has reloaded. And that's the old cliche about programs like Maryland and Duke and Virginia and the blue bloods, if you will, of college lacrosse, that they don't rebuild, they reload. But for Maryland, you can already see it paying off in game number 1 and quarter number 1.
John Tillman knows how to recruit.
And we talked about how important it was for Maryland to open up a little bit of separation for High Point to keep this game within striking distance. And as soon as we say that, a pair of quick goals for the Terps, and High Point still yet to get on the board. That's a shot and a quick goal. Oh, what a quick release that was. Out of almost nothing. And High Point is finally on the board nearly 13 minutes in.
I don't think anybody on the field saw that coming from Rizzo. Quick release into the net. So quick, you almost didn't see the ball move.
Nick Rizzo, the sophomore, with a lightning quick release. And the seal is broken on High Point's slow start. Maryland able to win the ensuing face-off, though, and now the Terps can attempt to restore their 4-goal advantage. So we head down the home stretch of quarter number 1. Maryland's led just about wire to wire. But High Point finally getting on the board, courtesy of Nick Rizzo. Space opens up for Long. Finds Wisnauskas, bounce and scores. Can't leave Logan Wisnauskas that open for that long. The ball's gonna end up in the back of the net.
And it was good ball movement from the Terps, just moving it around the horn. Finds its way to Wisnauskas, and from that spot, there was only one corner he was picking out and one outcome.
So the 4-goal lead restored immediately for Maryland. And Eric Malever, you see there, and the Terps have to be very content with the way the first quarter has gone. Wisnauskas with 2 already. He had 6 goals against the Panthers in that season opener in 2020. He loves playing against John Torpy's team. As a timeout's going to be called quickly and allow both teams to regroup. In fact, make it a face-off violation that time. So the Terps will have a man up for 30 seconds and a chance to extend the lead a little bit more as we head down the final 85 seconds of this first quarter. It was Gavin Tygh on the face-off that time. Tygh, a transfer from UVA. Of course, I'm sure had a lot to say about the way things went down on Memorial Day in East Hartford. They're making a quick trip from Charlottesville to College Park, and he and Weirman will be the 1-2 tandem at the face-off X this season. Quick shot and a quick goal. Daniel Maltz is on the board. "40 goals this season ago. He was quietly third on the team, but wasn't quiet that time. He is on the board immediately after the man-up opportunity. Quick passing and a quick score.
Finds a little pocket of space. Wisnauskas finds him low to low. Finds the bottom corner. Teammates loving it.
And a rapid succession of goals after it was 2-0 for quite some time. Maryland has started to open up the goal-scoring faucet. And another face-off win. That time it's Tygh once again. Maryland has been dominating at the face-off X. That's a big reason why they've had the majority of the possessions, majority of the ball, and 6 of the 7 goals. Terps can hold for the final shot of the first quarter. Malever's able to find Murphy. Scored earlier in this first quarter. The sophomore originally from Massachusetts. Had to sit out last season after transferring from Johns Hopkins. Plays catch with Wisnauskas. Murphy gets goal side. Now Brennan. Wisnauskas hounded, but a nice pass over to the other side and another smart save from Parker Green to deny Khan. Fight for the rebound. Won't matter as the first quarter comes to a conclusion. Quick start for Maryland. High Point was able to keep it close for a good chunk of that first quarter, but then Maryland really started to turn it on as we head into the quarter break. It's the Terps 6 and the Panthers 1 on Big Ten Plus.
To win a Maryland Lacrosse prize pack. The winner will be announced after the third quarter.
Yeah, exactly what you wanted if you're John Tillman from the first quarter. 5-goal lead. Maybe the only thing you don't want is a goal allowed, but I think he'll be comfortable with where they're at.
First non-conference regular season game in 700 days for this Maryland Terrapins team after the Big Ten went conference only a season ago. High Point wins the face-off, and they'll look to move quickly and get started offensively. It has been slow going for the visitors in the first quarter. Here's Asher Nolting, a name we haven't said too much today. 27 goals, 45 assists a season ago. It's going to have to be a player that High Point relies on to get the offense going. Michael Ippolito, the senior from Maryland as well, a number of Maryland natives on this High Point team, making the trip to College Park. Nice move by Ippolito. Now back out in front, a shot and a goal. And there is Brayden Mayea. Knew we would say his name sooner rather than later. And High Point strikes first in the second quarter.
Good look from Mayea, but I think McNaney will be disappointed with himself as you watch. Ball comes to Mayea, and McNaney gets beaten over that shoulder. Got to protect the near post a little better than that, but a good goal for Mayea and a good goal for the Panthers early on in the second quarter.
More goals a season ago than any other returning Panther. Second on the team last year behind only Kevin Rogers, who did not return for 2022. So Mayea on the board, courtesy of the assist from Asher Nolting. So that's the 2 big hitters for High Point who get on the score sheet for that goal, and now they'll have a chance to go the other way once again. Much better start to this second quarter of play for John Torpy's team. And sometimes when all that momentum is going against you, just that quarter break, Josh, to kind of reset can really help.
Yeah, and it also helps when you come out and get a goal early. Probably told his team, we're going to win this face-off. Let's get this goal, and let's try to climb back into this thing. That's exactly what they did.
Here's Rizzo, one of the goal scorers. Gets it back behind X. Out in front, another nice pass and another nice score. It's Mayea again. And High Point's right back in the swing of things.
Nolting and Mayea, tell me if you've heard that combo once or twice if you're a High Point fan. Really good move from Nolting here to get to the edge. Good movement from Mayea to find that little pocket of space. Same little pocket that Daniel Maltz found for the Terps, and makes no mistake from there.
You know, Nolting with that 27 goal tally, that's a strong number, but the 45 assists, it really shows he's as much a facilitator as anything else, and the 2 assists in quick succession really show that.
Yeah, he'll do everything for this team. He'll score, but as you said, 45 assists.
Goals in all but 3 games last season for Asher Nolting, but already 2 assists as another penalty marker is thrown. Gonna be another 30-second man-up situation for the Terps. Last time they had that, Daniel Maltz scored very quickly. And it's been a struggle at the face-off X for High Point today. Terps have won 8 of the 11 at the X, and so Maryland will have a man up for 30 seconds. A chance to stem some of the momentum that High Point has built up in the early stages of this second quarter. Here's Wisnauskas right on the doorstep and rang it off of the iron. Goalie's best friend that time, coming up big, and now High Point can clear. Long pass all the way down that goes out of play. But the man-up time will run short. That was Kelly, the sophomore from Towson, who just rang it right off of the left post of Parker Green. He was right on the doorstep with nobody around him.
I think he would want to have that one back another time, probably sneaks it inside that post for a goal.
And once again, the quick ball movement on that man-up situation is exactly what you want. It was an offense that converted about 39% of their man-up opportunities last season. High Point on the other side, over 41%. They were one of the better man-up teams in the conference, if not the country last season. They have not had an opportunity yet so far today. Maryland will get their offense cooking once again. Donville has scored. Wisnauskas has 2. Now it's DeMaio who's had an assist. Wisnauskas trying to get on that favored left hand. He does, and once again, Green there to answer the call. Panthers looking to move quickly in transition, and they're able to clear. And a nice move to evade a couple of defenders, and now the Panthers are away. Coming right down the middle, but a whistle first. And a timeout called by the Panthers. The vibe's still pretty good in College Park, you'd imagine, and certainly everyone really glad to have college lacrosse back. As Nolting tries to come goal side. Able to find Koby Russsell. Russsell working on Roman Puglisi. And Puglisi makes him get out of it.
Go, in. Go in, right from here. Right from here. Push this low stop, low stop.
Panthers coming goal side once again. And a shot and a good save there by McNaney. Might have been going wide, but better safe than sorry for the junior goalie. And once again, Maryland able to clear without incident. Perfect on their clears so far, Maryland is. 7 out of 7. And now another loose ball going to be picked up by the Panthers. And now High Point can come the other way. Try to get back to a 2-goal deficit for the first time since it was 2-0. Team that won the Southern Conference last season went 5-1. Finally able to get over the hump after losing to Richmond in 2019. What was their best season, going 13-3 and 6-1 in the conference. Went to the NCAA tournament last season, and a win over Maryland here would look awfully good on a resume come May. Nolting with his head up as usual. Now he's going to go towards the crease, and another good save by McNaney.
McNaney beaten on that shoulder last time at Mayea. Doesn't make the same mistake with Nolting. Gets his stick up, catches it.
Now the Terps will try to gain their footing in the second quarter, where so far they've been held off the board. Malever running the show back behind X, finds Khan, who gets initially dispossessed, is able to pick it back up. Keegan Khan's been an integral part of the Maryland offense in this first quarter plus. One of the big transfers out of Villanova, one of the impact guys. Another shot, and Green goes low that time to make the save. Fight for the rebound is on. And it's going to be High Point's ball. Khan going to the ground to try to secure it, but the visitors will be able to try to clear.
Closing in on 6 minutes scoreless for the Terps in this second half. Really good defense from the Panthers.
And another whistle and another timeout will be taken by High Point. 8:52 to go in the second quarter of play. High Point with the ball, looking to get back into the swing of things once more on Big Ten Plus. 6 saves already for Parker Green. Is a big reason why it's only a 3-goal lead for Maryland at the moment, and High Point with the ball and a chance to cut into that deficit a little bit more. Another good performance against Maryland for Parker Green as Nolting gets the goal line extended. Feeds it all the way over to the other side for Russsell. It's over his head though. Foot race is on for the ball. And it's kicked over across the Maryland side. Heady play by the Terps, and now they can come in transition. Bubba Fairman onto his left hand, shoots and scores. Back for year number 5 and back on the scoring sheet.
Great heads-up play from Zappatello to kick the ball into the transition, as you'll see here. And then comes to Fairman, and he just says, you know what, you're going to give me a lane. I'm stronger than you. Big body, bounce into the corner.
The fifth-year man from Sandy, Utah, taking that extra year of eligibility and looking to make the most of it. Honorable mention All-American last season. Did work on the offensive side of things, did a lot of work on the defensive side of things last year as well. And you know, he loves getting back on the score sheet in 2022. Another face-off win by Maryland. And nice move by Luke Weirman to evade a pair of defenders, and Weirman can set things up for Maryland offensively. 2 goals, 2 assists for Logan Wisnauskas after he got the helper on the Fairman goal. And a timeout called by John Tillman and the Terps with 7:55 to go in the second quarter of play. Maryland wants to talk things over with a 4-goal lead on Big Ten Plus. 4-goal lead for Maryland as we reach nearly the midway point in the second quarter of play, and what a heads-up play that was by Ajax Zappatello to kick the ball into Maryland's side of things, and then Wisnauskas was able to find Fairman for the goal.
Yep, and they just opened up a lane for the big fella from Sandy, Utah.
Now here's DeMaio looking for a lane himself. Back up top it comes for Wisnauskas. 2 goals and 2 assists already for him. Talked about how important he was going to be in the open, and already up to the challenge. Now finding Wisnauskas once again. Onto his right hand for the hat trick. He can do it with his left, he can do it with his right. And filling into that number 1 jersey for Maryland quite nicely.
A little first half hattie for Wisnauskas. This time goes to a right hand. showing he can do it a little bit of both over the goalie's shoulder.
And for High Point, you want to try to get Wisnauskas onto his right hand because he's so lethal with that left hand, but Wisnauskas said, fine, I'll go into my right hand and score. That's absolutely no problem. Third of the day, assisted by Kyle Long, who's got 2 helpers himself already. And another man-up 30-second opportunity coming up for the Terps. High Point has had all sorts of trouble at the face-off X.
Yeah, now 10-3 at the face-off X in favor of the Terps, turning those 10 face-offs into 8 goals.
Wisnauskas is now only 2 goals away from tying 4th all-time on the Maryland program list. Matt Hahn sits in that position right now. And you knew he was going to get there sooner rather than later, but it might be sooner. Wisnauskas also 3rd all-time in points in a Maryland uniform in his career. He's now 16 away from Matt Rambo. It would be quite something to get back to that today, as Maryland unable to get back on the scoreboard. It was another good opportunity on the weak side. High Point's going to be able to clear, and Maryland won't get anything from their man-up opportunity. Here's a whistle off of that hit right at midfield. And a penalty marker flew. Looks like Donville with a heavy hit. So they will catch Donville for a 30-second penalty for the push. And so High Point's going to get an opportunity from the man-up position. As I mentioned, 41% man-up last season, scored 21 goals in man-up spots. A good opportunity to get back into this game, down by 5 as it stands. Work it all the way around. And now losing it, and John Geppert's unable to win it back for Maryland. High Point can come again. Here's Nolting. Goal line extended back to Asher Nolting. Right on the doorstep, inside a shot, and it went off of the post as well. That's a couple of times the ball's hit the iron today. And High Point's able to get the rebound back as the man-up opportunity expires. Here's another shot, low, and a score. Nick Murphy, the junior from Vegas, beats Logan McNaney low, and High Point's back on the board.
Yeah, man up, rolling down. Nick Murphy decides to roll the dice, gets a shot through.
So High Point back on the board, back to a 4-score game as we take one more look at it. Just opened up for the junior. Appeared in 6 games last season. Hasn't started since February of 2020, but comes off the bench and makes an impact. Ground ball opportunity off the faceoff is won by High Point. And Joel Skirbow will slow things down. Maryland with the 14 shots on goal, as you see, to High Point's 8. The Panthers looking for more. Tommy Meehan, another Maryland native. Plenty, especially on this High Point attack. Warren Weeks is hounded as they're able to get it all the way back up top. 35 seconds to shoot, plenty of time for the Panthers. So with nearly 5.5 minutes to go in the second quarter, they look to close the gap a little bit more. Here is Nolting with the big body, working on Fairman. Loses Fairman, finds a teammate inside, goes off the crossbar. Oh, Nolting did everything right that time. The Panthers just couldn't find the finishing product. Nolting will come again. Bounce pass. The shot clock did reset with the ball hitting the crossbar, so over 45 seconds now for the Panthers to shoot. Here's Meehan again. Appeared in 4 games off the bench last season, will have a much bigger role here in 2022. Meehan working onto his right hand. And he'll give it up. It works its way all the way back to X. Panthers get goal side. All the way onto the left hand, and a shot that goes way up and over from Vanoverbeke. And an errant pass that time. It's going to roll out of play, and a missed opportunity for the Panthers. But that was an excellent pass from Nolting, going right inside, and just ringing it off the post was Daniel Jones.
Yeah, finding a good pocket of space between the Maryland defenders, just can't sneak it in there.
Nolting's provided some issues for this Maryland defense between the strength and the agility. He's got both.
And you can kind of tell between the communication between Rahill and Maycar, which one of the two of them always on him.
Here's Owen Murphy, the transfer from Johns Hopkins. He's got a goal today. Back behind the cage. Inside it goes and mishandled by Jack Brendan. He had a step, but Maryland's able to take it right back. That's a heads-up play from Jack Corris to win it back. It'll be Panthers ball going the other way with 3.5 to play in the second quarter. And if High Point can go into the break with this a 2 or 3 goal deficit, John Torpy will have to think, especially with the way the first quarter went. As a penalty flag flies, there'll be delayed call going against the Terps. But the way the first quarter went, going into the break 6-1, Maryland in favor. If this is a 2 or 3 score game at the interval, you're feeling pretty good about yourself if you're the Panthers.
Yeah, it just keeps the morale high in the locker room, saying you still got a fighting chance. And if you're John Tillman, you want to try and extend that lead. And if you're Coach Torpy, you want to see stuff like that.
Koby Russsell coming back to his home state at a bounce shot and a score. Scored here in College Park in the season opener in 2020, does so again in 2022.
Yeah, and it kind of looked like the ball just skipped up on McNaney there. Kind of a weird shot to try and handle if you're a goalie, because you don't assume that it's going to bounce up like it did, but it does.
Went to Boys Latin School in Maryland. You know that the Terrapins have been on his radar as a lacrosse fan and a lacrosse player for quite some time, and that's got to be a good feeling coming back to your home state and getting a goal against the flagship school. Maryland wins the ensuing face-off. That's 11 of 15 at the X for the Terps. Wisnauskas for Kyle Long, who's just coming on. 2 assists for Long already. Now DeMaio, who's got 1 helper. Wisnauskas already with a first half hat trick. Gets it back, goes low to high, and it sails up and over. That's a quick shot out of the pocket of Logan Wisnauskas. And now Maryland looking to come goal side quickly. Does so. Kahn can't quite get it off as he was hit hard in front of the crease. And Green is able to scoop it up. No timeouts left in the first half for High Point. And about a 35-second difference between shot clock and game clock in this second quarter. 3-goal game as it stands. The most recent goal scorer carrying the ball right now in Russsell. Give it off to Ippolito. It's been held off the score sheet today. Looking to change that. Ippolito with a dodge down the left side will give it up. Now the Panthers can work it all the way around. Here's Russsell again. Finds Vines, talked about him in the open. He's been quiet as well. Inside it goes, and Puglisi trying to get after the loose ball, does so. And now Maryland, if they're able to clear, can hold for the final shot. Ride coming on, though, by the Panthers, looking to force a turnover at the end of this first half of play. Terps have 5 seconds to clear. Got to hurry as they launch it all the way down the field. It'll go out and it'll stay with the Terps. Last-ditch clear effort, able to pay off for Maryland, and now with about 35 seconds to go, they can slow things down. 3 goals for Wisnauskas, 1 for Donville, 1 for Kahn. 2 on the other side for Mayea, 1 for Russsell. 1 for Murphy, 1 for Rizzo. Here's Wisnauskas for number 4. The expectations are high with that shirt. And with less than 30 minutes into his time wearing it, he's got 4 goals.
It's just too easy for Logan Wisnauskas. Not a defender in sight. Spot up, shoot her down.
And you certainly can't let Logan Wisnauskas have the time and the space on the ball like that close to the goal. 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points in the first half of play. And if there's any question of whether he was up to the task of wearing a jersey like the Maryland number 1, all those questions have been put to bed. And can Maryland score again in the final 10 seconds after Tygh won the faceoff? He gets dispossessed though as Nolting is going to have to be stopped by the referee's whistle. 5 seconds to go. Maryland will try to work with what little time they have as Fairman comes all the way down. He'll put it in a dangerous area. It's intercepted, and that is how the first half will come to a conclusion. Maryland dominated at the face-off X, and that led to 15 shots on goal and 9 goals. The big storyline in the first half of play. Logan Wisnauskas with 4 goals, 2 assists. Everyone happy to be back at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium as the Terps lead by 4 at the break on Big Ten Plus. As we are just about ready for the second half of play here between Maryland and High Point. Underway in the third quarter with Luke Weirman winning the faceoff. Maryland has dominated at the faceoff X, 13 of 17, and Josh, that's a big reason why they've got this lead.
Yeah, and Weirman not only winning the faceoff there, but making sure he keeps the ball and gets it into the Terps offensive end. Couple of face-off violations against High Point as well that led to some man-up opportunities. Those will reset, though, for the second half. Certainly something to keep an eye on, though, as DeMaio is unable to finish that one off as he came right down the right seam. As here is Kahn. In and out of his pockets, able to bring it back. Comes goal side and scores. 2 for Keegan Kahn. Kahn taking a big hit, but finishing nonetheless. Flying through the air, as you see, he's walking a little bit gingerly right now. Huge hit as he flew through the air for the goal.
Keep an eye on him in the next 5 or 10 minutes or so, but what a move to come goal side and goes airborne for the jump shot. And an immediate, just as it was in the first quarter, goal in the third quarter coming out of the break to set the tone for this half. Kahn, the only other player with multiple goals in a Maryland jersey. Brayden Mayea with 2 on the other side for High Point. Face off with the ground ball, it's still loose. And Maryland's gonna win it once again. All the ground balls, all the face-offs, all the 50-50s. That was something High Point was gonna have to do really well if they were going to stick with Maryland, but it's been the Terps have been dominating it, Josh.
And it's one of those things that if you're Maryland and you're John Tillman, you tell your team, just because we're playing a non-conference foe who may not be ranked in the top 20 or top 25, doesn't mean we can give up our effort, and they haven't.
Yeah, it's been a pretty complete performance for John Tillman so far. You think about all the different avenues between the ground balls, the face-offs. Logan McNaney's got 3 saves. And the offense has been prolific as well. Green was able to intercept that pass. That wasn't a shot that was going back towards X, but Green really smart to get his stick out and grab it. And now High Point, if they're able to clear, if 10 seconds to do so, can trigger their offense. 5 seconds to clear now for the Panthers. They have to hurry. And they're just going to have to launch it all the way down the field. Ground ball picked up by the Panthers, though, and now their offense will be able to get going. Good bailout there of the defense that had some trouble getting the clear. Maryland, perfect 10 for 10 in that category. High Point 11 for 12, so they've been pretty efficient as well. Although it's come down to the wire on a couple of occasions. Logan McNaney's allowed 5 goals, 3 saves in the cage for Maryland, and High Point will look to test him again here. Here's Mayea with his 2 goals. Nice move to lose his defender, and another, and a hat trick. The Canadian comes to College Park, and he's keeping his team in it right now.
And if you're the Maryland defense, that's just a little too easy. Gets past 2 bodies, gets to the left and finds that bottom right corner. Good move to get past the first one. Skips past Ray Hill as well and finds the bottom corner.
Had 6 hat tricks a season ago, and he's somebody who could score goals in bunches. Last season's game against Air Force, Mayea put up 6 goals. He's somebody who once, especially for attackers like him, or on the other side, players like Wisnauskas, once you see the ball go into the back of the net once, more and more likely you're going to see it going more and more. It just builds that confidence. It grows on itself exponentially. We'll see how much Mayea is able to keep High Point in this game. Asher Nolting, no goals for him, but 3 assists. As Maryland's offense looks to get going. Inside for Khan, behind the back. How do you do, Keegan Khan? Welcome to College Park. He's got a hat trick and put a big old star next to that goal.
I guess he's feeling all right after that big hit. Just silky smooth from Khan. He makes it look so easy. Behind the back into the top corner.
Well, certainly one way to introduce yourself to your new teammates, your new fans, and a new school is to not only score 3 goals, but to do it like that. And now Maryland wins the ensuing face-off again. 2 years ago on this field, when High Point came to open up the season against Maryland, they fell victim to a behind-the-back pass from Anthony DeMaio to a shot from Logan Wisnauskas. But this time it's the goal scored on the behind-the-back play from Keegan Khan. And that's one of the better goals you'll see not just today, but in the month of February or the entire college lacrosse season. And Maryland looking for more. Donville scored the first goal. DeMaio yet to put one in the back of the net yet. You know, even if he doesn't today, he's going to have plenty to say about this Maryland offense going forward. Back onto the weak side for DeMaio. Wisnauskas as a flag flies. Delayed penalty against High Point, and we'll check on the call. But what a move there from Keegan Khan, and you know his confidence has to be really, really high at the moment.
Yeah, and you see some players come in when they transfer to Maryland or a big blue blood in college lacrosse. They kind of take a little bit to settle in, but Khan taking no time, oozing confidence.
The transfer from Villanova, he was all Big East first team. As you can see, the push there in that congested part of the field. And so another 30-second man-up opportunity coming up for the Terps. They have scored, courtesy of Daniel Maltz on the man-up opportunity in the first half, and now the push gives another 30-second chance for Maryland. Donville will initiate. Now DeMaio. Khan. DeMaio off the post. And Wisnauskas couldn't handle it initially. High Point trying to come the other way, but Wisnauskas picks it back up. And he gets run into by the Panthers, and now High Point can come the other way. And the bench for the Panthers appreciating the hustle play. The time will expire on the man-up opportunity, and that'll be even strength for the Panthers. Here's Vines. 2 goals against Maryland 2 seasons ago in the season opener. And that's Nolting with a shot that goes up and over. 3rd shot of the day for Asher Nolting. And McNaney was able to watch it sail up and over his crease. Could get Wisnauskas for a penalty here. 30-second penalty against Maryland's leading scorer today. So a 30-second man-up opportunity the other way for High Point, and an opportunity to reduce this deficit back to 4. Here's Murphy, plays catch with Mayea. Works it all the way around the horn. Here's Nolting with his head up, as per usual. Back to Nolting as he gets behind goal line extended. Errant pass, though, that time. Trying to get the ball over towards the right side for Vanoverbeke. But it was out of his reach, and now Maryland will be able to get the other way. That's those kind of unforced errors from High Point that seen too much today from a Panthers perspective that you simply can't make when you're going on the road to the #2 team in the country.
Yeah, and it's just been too much. That's why there's a 5-goal deficit. It's the face-off X and the turnovers.
16 of 20 face-offs won by Maryland. And 11 turnovers for High Point. That's not a recipe for success if you're John Torpy. Brennan's able to come goal side here. Back onto his left hand, and he gives it up. In the middle, a shot goes wide. Might have been deflection there from Green as Wisnauskas was looking for number 5. I think Green did get a touch onto it. That's save number 8 if he is credited with it. You'd imagine he would be. Another excellent day for Parker Green in net, and he's had to be up to the task. Here's Murphy. He's on the score sheet today, 2, and he gets right back on it. Number 2 for the transfer from Johns Hopkins. Maryland up to a dozen in College Park.
Good move from Murphy, just being patient, finds a little spin and a snapshot that beats the goalie low.
Able to step into it, working on his defender. That's Zach Diamond. That time, Murphy was able to get the better of him. So the lead back up to 6. So a couple of players who have multiple goals for Maryland between Murphy, Kahn, and Wisnauskas. And Wisnauskas leading the way with 4 goals and 7 points. He has 3 assists as well, which we haven't talked about as much, but he's playing facilitator as well as finisher. And Trey Smith is going to get a penalty to make things going from bad to worse for High Point. A minute for slashing. So a man-up opportunity coming for Maryland. And they're able to win the face-off with the extra man coming through in Higgins. What can Maryland do on this opportunity? Wisnauskas gets it to Donville. Graduate student from Ontario. And the transfer from Cornell. Back behind for Kahn. Inside for Donville on the doorstep. Baker's dozen for Maryland.
The 2 transfers connecting there. Villanova to Cornell. Philly to New York.
And make it a pair for Donville, the first overall pick in the 2021 NLL draft. He didn't get to play at all in 2021 at Cornell, of course. The Ivy League canceled the season across all sports. And how good must it feel for him to get back onto a field and back onto the score sheet.
Yeah, and it's no better feeling than getting an easy one like that right on the doorstep.
Off of a perfect feed from Keegan Kahn, who has really impressed today. A hat trick and an assist, and one of those goals, you may remember that behind-the-back beauty. Face-off win by High Point. But off of the ground ball, a nice hit applied by Bubba Fairman. Panthers able to pick it up right back, though. Another hit, and this time Maryland's able to take it away. And we've talked about the success for Maryland at the face-off X, Josh. It's been both Tygh and Weirman. Tygh 7 out of 10 and Weirman 10 out of 12.
Yeah, when you can have 2 guys who can do that, it's even better. John Tillman can keep his guys fresh, go 2 or 3 at a time for each guy, and just keep rotating.
Hoban has taken the majority of the face-offs for the Panthers, but he's just 3 out of 16. Murphy gets behind the cage. Murphy trying to feed right down the middle for Kahn. Maryland's going to track it down first. Here's Chorus for Wisnauskas. One more goal puts him in a tie for 4th all time. Swung over to the far side, another nice feed, but that time Green was able to deny. But there you see the passing of Logan Wisnauskas, not just the goal scorer that we were talking about a bit earlier. Here's Malever with a spin move. Finding Murphy for the hat trick. And Murphy says, I want to hear it a little bit louder. He's got 3 goals, and Maryland pouring it on in College Park.
A hat trick of hat tricks for Maryland today. Owen Murphy, the 3rd to get his hat trick, and it's just the ball movement and the patience from the Terps. Find the open man and just sling it into that bottom corner.
We've got ourselves a timeout on the field, and Maryland really starting to hit their stride offensively. 14-6 as Kahn, Wisnauskas, and Murphy all with hat tricks today.
Murphy. Assistant number 4, Eric Malever.
Point with a extra man opportunity after an illegal equipment penalty against Eric Malever. Not something you see all that often, Josh.
No, it's really something I've never seen, to be quite honest. I know it is a penalty, but I've never seen one like that.
High Point unable to capitalize, though, off a nice save from Logan McNaney. And now the ride coming on for High Point as they look to force the issue. Maryland able to clear, though. Here's Geppert. Gives it off to Kahn. Extra pass. He's in a tie for 4th all time. Logan Wisnauskas with goal number 5, and Matt Hahn has company in the ranks of Maryland's all-time goal leaders.
Yeah, and just great play from the Terps. Able to clear it man down. Credit Geppert for clearing it as the long stick midfielder. Finds the nice pass to Kahn, gives it to Wisnauskas open net.
5 goals today, 3 assists, and 149 career goals for Logan Wisnauskas. Kahn with his 2nd helper of the day as well. And it has been a banner day all the way around for Maryland as the lead opens up to 9. Next goal for Wisnauskas will be number 150, and he'll be all alone in 4th. You look at the rest of the leaderboard, a little bit ways to go. Joe Walters is next in 3rd with 153. Matt Rambo with 155. So sooner rather than later, you'd imagine Wisnauskas, who's now only 6 away from that, is going to get there. And then Jared Bernhardt with 202 in a league to himself. For High Point, just trying to make things a little bit closer each possession in this season opener. And not only this, but build good habits as well for Colgate and UVA and Navy and Duke coming up next for difficult tests. As they get it inside, and a nice shot and a nice goal from Mayea again. That ball was out of his stick as quickly as it went in. And he's got 4 goals today, Brayden Mayea.
He's just finding those pockets very well today. Finds it in the middle of that Maryland defense. And ball came into him quick, leaves his stick even quicker, and finds the back of the net the quickest.
Out of Windsor, Ontario, and you saw there, it was all in one fluid motion, the catch and the shoot off of broken record. Nice feed from Asher Nolting. That's his 4th assist of the day.
And if you're any team in the SoCon, those 2 are going to be hard to stop this year.
Yeah, you certainly look at Richmond and Jacksonville as 2 of the key other contenders in the conference. Jacksonville facing off with a Big Ten team today as well. So that is going to be a difficult combination to defend once SoCon play starts up in April. Right down the middle, another nice save there off of the shot from Murphy, who's got a goal himself today. McNaney up to 5 saves now, off of his 7 goals allowed. Josh, what have you seen from McNaney today now into his junior season?
You see a couple of mistakes, I think he'd consider it, not necessarily bad goals to give up, but goals that he should not have given up, and a couple of good saves. Just everybody's still trying to find their rhythm, and I think he is too.
Ball deflects up in the air and a ground ball pickup. Actually going to say that last shot hit the post, and so they're not going to give McNaney with the save. So he remains at 4 as it stands against his 7 goals allowed. Averaging a hair under 10 goals allowed per game. And for Maryland, that's been the magic number historically. When they've scored 10 or more goals, they've been fantastic under John Tillman. And when they allow 10 or fewer goals, they've won 32 consecutive games going back to 2017 when their opponents end in single digits. That shows the defensive prowess, but also the offensive ability, knowing if you can get to double digits, you're going to have a good chance to win.
Yeah, it's still a long way to go to hold the High Point Panthers to under 10 goals.
Maryland still showing the hustle, up 8 with under 4 minutes to go to win it back, and that's certainly something that's become a cornerstone of John Tillman's program. The score line will not be indicative of the amount of effort put in, and if it is, then it's a pretty deep roster, and somebody else is going to be right there to take your minutes. Speaking of deep rosters, Donville gets it over Wisnauskas. Give and go. Donville missed it wide. And Donville says that's my bad off of an excellent dish from Wisnauskas. Kahn finds DeMaio. Back behind X. He doesn't have a goal yet today, DeMaio. Can he join the party? Back for Wisnauskas. Donville. Extra pass down low and into heavy traffic and a whistle. It's going to stay with Maryland though. Shot clock resets to 60. With 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. DeMaio for Kyle Long, a senior from Pennsylvania, at 44 points last season, including 2 hat tricks. Long gets all the way goal side. And a shot by Wisnauskas. That's such a quick trigger, but it went wide of the cage. Kahn will re-trigger. He gets goal side, he shoots and he scores. And Maryland's scoring for fun now.
Really good move from Kahn. Takes the ball from out of bounds, little swim move to get past his defender and finishes low.
4th of the day for Keegan Kahn. And welcome to playing for a Big Ten team. From the Big East to the Big Ten, he had 50 points in the conference against Big East foes last season. And once you get to Big Ten play, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with as well.
That swim move to just bring the ball over the long pole. Ridiculous.
High Point with a face-off win. So they'll look to keep the deficit single digits. Have been some bright spots for High Point. Certainly Mayea's 4 goals, Nolting's 4 assists. But on the defensive side of things for the Panthers, it's just been too much to handle for Maryland.
Yeah, the Terps have such a balanced attack. We've seen all the weapons today.
Certainly a learning experience as well for the Panthers. They're going to face a lot more lethal offenses in Virginia and Duke in the coming weeks. Certainly a blueprint to start out with is not the worst thing in the world. Here's a shot and another save by McNaney. Don't say more lethal offenses as in more than Maryland, but just additional. High Point, rather, certainly not done with the top teams in the country, as we've talked about. Here's Brennan, who's been fairly quiet today. Chorus, and now Wisnauskas gets the pick from Kelly. And Murphy, who's on a hat trick as well. Murphy, tried to get it right on the doorstep for Wisnauskas. Couldn't connect. And High Point, if they can clear, will be able to get the last shot of the third quarter. Green's gonna take it all the way himself to clear. Parker Green, that's the goalie, who's gonna get involved. And now High Points can hold on for the final shot. Everything just parted for Green, and he said, you know what, why not? I'll do the clearing myself. Two teams who have done a pretty good job clearing today. A combined 26 for 28. And with 30 seconds to go in the third quarter, what can the Panthers muster up to finish things off? It's been a third quarter that has been all Maryland, 7-2 in the third frame. Terps also outscore the Panthers 6-1 in the first. That second quarter for High Point was solid, 4-3. The Panthers had the advantage. But in the other two, it's been all Maryland. Under 10 seconds to go. The Panthers have to hurry. They get it over to the far side. Can't get through the traffic as Fairman takes a whack at it. That somehow got back towards goal, but McNaney was there to make the save. And that is how the third quarter will come to the end of play, rather, with Logan McNaney up to the task. Maryland pouring it on. 5 from Wisnauskas, 4 for Kahn, 3 for Murphy, 16 for Maryland through 3 quarters of play on Big Ten Plus. Up a 9-goal advantage as we start the fourth quarter of play. Big reason why Keegan Kahn, a new face in College Park, has been fantastic.
Yeah, 4 goals, 2 assists. The transfer from Villanova just doing a little bit of everything today.
That excellent feed to Jonathan Donville, and then the behind the back pass. He got going with a jump shot as well, and there is the behind the back goal that turned all the heads at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium.
Just a little bit of filth. Might catch that one on SportsCenter tonight.
Wouldn't be too surprised. That is going to be one of the big plays in college lacrosse today. And Maryland, when they've scored 10 or more goals in the last 7 seasons, have been darn near unbeatable, and they're already up to 16 with a whole frame still to play.
Wouldn't be surprised to see them pass the 20 mark today.
They did so last time that the Panthers came to town 2 seasons ago, a 23-12 win. An offensive explosion for the Terps that day, and another one here today in 2022. We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we hope that's the only similarity between the 2020 season and 2022. Certainly don't need any more parallels between what happened a couple of years ago and present day. High Point wins the face-off to start the fourth quarter. As Nolting works hard on Brett Makar, whose name we haven't said today, and Nolting able to get his way through the crease and score. Knew it was going to be a matter of time for the big body Nolting. After 4 assists, he gets his goal, and High Point has 8.
You're not going to see a lot of guys muscle off Brett Makar like that, and Nolting just gets his body between Makar and the goal and finds a way to dunk it in there.
5 hat tricks a season ago for Asher Nolting. He's using his 5th year as well. Was about to say, haven't said Brett Makar's name too much today, which usually for a defender is a good thing, as Asher Nolting was just able to maneuver his way out of the crease. And they will count the goal. Ensuing face-off battle for it, and a whistle. And it's gonna go High Point's way. Panthers starting to get into the swing of things a little bit more in the face-off X, largely courtesy of Joey Dahlkemper, who's won 4 of his 6 face-offs coming in relief. Now what the Panthers can muster up offensively with a mountain to climb and 14 minutes to do it. It's going to have to start with Nolting again. Working on Makar again. Gives it up. A shot, another save by McNaney. That was Henry Mudlef with the shot. And McNaney answered the call. Coming the other way is Maryland. Here's Higgins for Wisnauskas. Kahn will get it back out to Logan Wisnauskas. 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points for Maryland's new number 1. Kyle Long, who had 3 assists in the national championship back in May, will get things going at the top. Here's DeMaio with his 2 assists today. Donville at goal line extended. Back up top for DeMaio, and Green was right there. Rebound is loose, and it will go back the way of the Panthers. Quick ball movement for Maryland, but Parker Green there to make the save.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Green or if the ball, oh, it was Green. I thought the ball might have gotten stopped before the ball got to him, but good save. He's been excellent today.
Up to 9 saves on the day for the junior out of Tennessee. And now he's going to be called into action again as High Point turns the ball back over. Long is unable to make the clean catch, and a turnover going back the other way. Number 8 on the day for Maryland. Here's Nolting. Trying to get the quick shot off was Mayea, but Rahill is there to sweep it away. And Fairman just couldn't keep himself in between the lines. And go back the other way. Seesaw in the opening minutes of this fourth quarter between High Point and Maryland. And a timeout's going to be taken on the field. Maryland up by 8, doubling up High Point in the fourth quarter of play on Big Ten Plus. There's the storyline of the day. Logan Wisnauskas, 8 points and moving into a tie for 4th all-time in goals scored in Maryland program history. Plenty more records to be set, plenty more moving up the charts for Logan Wisnauskas this year.
Yeah, and I'd expect him to maybe get into that number 2 spot. Jared Bernhardt with over 200 goals, maybe not breaking that one.
Certainly be a difficult pace to keep up with, but continuing to reel in some of the biggest names in Maryland program history. And one more goal would leave him all alone in 4th place. Here's Nolting, who's had a good day today, trying to fight through a couple of defenders. Couldn't get it on goal, though. I have to admire Nolting's effort with his 1 goal and 4 assists today as Russsell steps into one. Didn't get through cleanly, and Nolting's there to back it up. McNaney trying to direct traffic for his defenders. Nolting trying to feed it into a difficult window with a couple of defenders on hand, but High Point can re-trigger. Here's Russsell. All the way back for Vines, who has been quiet today. No goals or assists. Vines cuts towards the crease, a sharp angle shot that flashed wide of McNaney's crease. 7 saves for McNaney against 8 goals allowed, and ball will flip back the way of Maryland.
The extra effort there from Matt Rahill.
Another one of the leaders on this team, the graduate student, Matt Rahill out of Pennsylvania. Part of the heartbeat of this Maryland defense. Him and Brett Makar are quite the combination. Maryland has to launch it down the field with the clock expiring to clear it, and it was up and over the head of everyone in a white shirt. So another turnover for the Terps. That's number 10 against 15 for High Point.
And it's a little higher than I think both teams would have wanted, but that's the first game of the season, getting some rust off.
And there's another turnover there by the Panthers, and Maryland looking to come the other way relatively quickly. And they'll now slow things down to get their offense set up. Here's Bubba Fairman with that goal towards the end of the first half. Jack Brennan missed all of last season due to an injury, and excellent depth piece for Maryland here in 2022 as he comes dodging down the left side. All the way for Wisnauskas. Oh, he thought about it. Instead, tries to feed it from Maltz in another congested area, and High Point's able to come away with it. As High Point with some difficulty clearing here. They've got 8 seconds to do it so, and now they will be able to get it across the midfield line and get going with their offense. Coming all the way right down the middle is the long pole, and that just goes wide, and it looked like he stepped into the crease as well. But nobody pressured John Adams, the defender, who remains down. And And he's going to receive a little bit of treatment as the medical staff comes on to tend to Adams. And that's certainly not the way you want to see that develop like that.
No, just a nasty roll of the ankle right there. You don't want to see that for anybody, and it's just awkward because you think it's a normal placement for your foot, and then just all of a sudden just rolls over. Those are painful.
Especially for a player like Adams, who's a defender, not used to navigating the crease offensively like that. Certainly good to see him up and walking. And hopefully we'll see him back in action against Colgate coming up on Friday. That's the last thing you want to see in a game like this. 9 minutes to go, Maryland in full control.
You don't want to see that for either team.
Yeah. So hopefully Adams is all right as we get going once again. 9 minutes to play in the fourth quarter, and Maryland has been in control just about wire to wire. Goal in the first minute and haven't let off the pressure since. DeMaio gives it up and gets it right back. Here's Kyle Long. Back behind X for Kahn. Maryland working all the way around the horn. That's one of the more prolific offenses in the nation last season, and a team with the highest scoring margin in the nation last season. Looks for more and gets more. Kyle Long on the board.
Makes it look so casual, but he's got this speed that he just turns on. And when he gets around the corner, it's just ridiculous how easy it is for him.
Long didn't play against High Point a couple of seasons ago, but a goal and 2 assists in the 2022 iteration of the Terps and Panthers opening up the season. At Parker Green, 17 goals conceded. That's now 40 combined goals allowed for him in the 2 times he has faced off with the Terps here at Capital One Field at Maryland Stadium, but you can't really point at any that you can give to his fault. He's been pretty solid today with his 9 saves. Maryland's just been all over the place on the attack. Haven't really been any cheap ones though, Josh.
No cheap ones really from either goalkeeper. Maybe 1 or 2 you could say, oh, if it's middle of the season, they probably should save that, but nothing more than that. 2 really good goalie performances.
As Brennan's able to dodge, get right back behind X as Maryland comes again and scores again. Murphy has 4.
Two transfers, Kahn and Murphy, now both up to 4 goals, and it's just all too easy for the Terps now. Murphy just finding the spot wide open and threads the needle.
You take one more look at it off of a really nice pass from behind the cage. Murphy with all the time and space in the world to step into it. Daniel Maltz gets the helper. And Maryland absolutely pouring it on in College Park. High Point coming the other way with Nolting, who's able to get towards the crease and just miss wide. Offensive clinic put on by Maryland here today. And, you know, for High Point, it was largely going to be, can you keep up with this Maryland attack? You knew what you were going to get from the likes of Wisnauskas. Kahn has been excellent. Maltz has been excellent. Murphy as well. It was up to the attack to be able to keep pace, and Maryland's defense has risen to the challenge. You know, we talk so much about the High Point attack when it's the Panthers with the ball, but the defense for players like Ray Hill and Makar have been excellent today. Another sharp angle shot and score. Jack Vanoverbeke had 9 goals last season, gets on the board today. That was from an awfully tight angle, and he was able to beat McNaney short side. Assisted by Rizzo, 2 points for him now today. McNaney was able to square up to him. Just a wicked shot from Vanoverbeke. Native of St. Paul, Minnesota, now into his sophomore season. This is still a fairly young High Point team, Josh. Talked about players like Vines, who's a senior, and Nolting, who's a 5th-year player. But there are some younger players on this High Point team as well. You look at players like Vanoverbeke, he's a sophomore. Mayea has been excellent, he's a sophomore. As Maryland's able to score once again immediately. It's Gavin, Tygh, his first in a Maryland jersey.
Another newcomer, another goal.
Hard to keep up with all the goals coming from Maryland. The transfer from UVA right off of the face-off is able to come right down and score.
Just wins his face-off very well, beats his man, pops up in the air. No one's gonna fill the lane. He says, all right, I'll do it myself.
Can barely get through our other talking point before Maryland with another scoring chance and another goal. Interestingly enough, Tygh did face High Point with UVA. A couple of seasons ago, he went 6 for 7 against the Panthers at X. Today, he's 8 for 13, and Weirman is 11 for 17. We've talked about how dominant Maryland has been at the face-off X.
20 against 11. Dominance.
And now Maryland with another opportunity with 6.5 minutes to play. Siracusa, all the way back from Malever. As Maryland starting to roll through their rotation. Gabe Goforth, the sophomore, gets it back behind X. And a bounce shot, and I think Green might have gotten a piece of that one. It will stay with the Terps as Malever's there to back it up. Malever with a nice move to get goal side. Turns on his defender, shoots and goes wide. Maltz is there first for Maryland. Maltz with a good day today and a goal and an assist for him. Back for Malever. Oh, he was trying to find a cutting Alex Smith, but went up and over his head. And it'll go back the other way for High Point. And looking to move quickly is Nolting. That's an errant pass, though, and Maryland will be able to get it back away. Drew Morris is in the game for Maryland between the sticks, by the way. Goalkeeper changes. Logan McNaney's day is done. And the graduate student from Connecticut will get an opportunity here as the final moments tick away of this matchup between the Panthers. Morris made 8 appearances last season as a backup, 7 saves. He also came into the High Point game 2 seasons ago for less than 2 minutes, but a little bit more than that here in 2022. We've got ourselves a timeout. A 10-goal advantage here in College Park, 19-9. They've been all over the High Point Panthers. He's Josh Caplan. I'm Ben Curtis. We appreciate you making us a part of your Saturday afternoon plans as we kick off the college lacrosse season in style for Maryland. It's been an offensive explosion today, Josh.
Yeah, and everyone getting involved. The new guys, Wisnauskas with the new number, everyone.
And for High Point, certainly not the scoreline that you would have wanted, but plenty of learning experiences. A strong day from Brayden, Mayea, a strong day from Asher Nolting. And as we've already talked about a handful of times, it doesn't get any easier after this, so you have to leave with the lessons you've learned and get right back into the swing of things on Friday. That's a heck of a move from Mayea. And he is having himself quite the day.
Saw the swim move earlier on in the game from Keegan. Mayea says, anything you can do, I can do better. This little swim move into the top corner. He's having a day.
We've talked about his ability to score goals in bunches. That's number 5 for him off of 5 shots. He's been unbelievably efficient. And completely wrong-footed Drew Morris.
And you know who had the assist on that one, Ben?
Well, I think if I had a couple of guesses, I won't really need it. Asher Nolting with 5 assists. 6 points now for Nolting. And they have been all the offense today for High Point. Mayea with half his team's goals. Here's Vines with a head of steam. Vines shoots and scores. Going top shelf. And Hunter Vines is on the board.
We talked about him in the open as that third piece behind Mayea and Nolting. Who's going to step up? And Vines had a career high in points last year, finally getting on the board here today.
And Drew Morris, after coming into the game, that's a difficult spot to do, coming in cold and against an offense that can score in bunches and has some of the better players in the SoCon, if not the entire southern region. And players like Vines and Mayea and Nolting. And that time, just Vines was able to beat Morris high. So 4 minutes to go. The lead is 19-11. Maryland fighting for it and winning it with Chase Cope, but then losing out right back after they were able to get it. And with under 4 minutes to go for High Point, you know, it's extraordinarily unlikely that they're going to get back into this game close enough, but just building momentum and building those good habits and those good practices like we were talking about earlier in this fourth quarter, Josh, to go into the next games against Colgate and UVA and Navy and Duke with a little bit of momentum.
Yeah, it's just positivity. That's what you can take away from this game. You competed and you had the effort.
And there were plenty of bright spots as well for High Point. You think back to that second quarter where they outscored Maryland after Maryland came out and punched them in the mouth in the first quarter. They did a lot right in that second quarter that you can look back on and kind of be the blueprint for other games against the top teams in the nation.
And as of right now, winning the fourth quarter as well.
But the first and the third have been all Maryland as needed, combined in those two quarters, a 13-3 advantage. 6 goals in the first, 7 in the third for the Terps. And looking for more with under 3 minutes to go with Charlie Corris, the freshman, 4-star recruit by Inside Lacrosse. As John Tillman getting a look at some of his depth pieces towards the end of this ball game, and a bounce shot and a score. Eric Malever with 2 assists today, and now he finally gets himself his goal. And Maryland's got 20.
And he deserves that today. He's been the facilitator, has a couple of assists, but just making all these key passes today. Gets to his spot and says, all right, my turn.
A lot of different goal scorers for Maryland. They've scored in a number of different ways. And Malever, the sophomore, who didn't score in the final 5 games of the season last year, is able to break his cold snap and get himself on the board with 2:45 to go. 3-time Big Ten Freshman of the Week last year, Malever. He's going to be a big piece of what Maryland does this year.
Just being that facilitator, being able to find all the passes, get the ball into the right stick at the right time.
One of the last opportunities for High Point to try to get something going offensively as Mayea runs into a whole herd of Terps. And Kopp is able to take it away. Don't know if that's the actually correct term for a group of Terrapins. As Maltz right on the doorstep off of an excellent feed. Malever's got 3 assists, and Maltz, as quickly as he caught it, he shot it, he scored.
As we brought up, sneakily 3rd on the team in goals last year, finds himself in a good spot and makes no mistake about the finish.
Another nice move from Malever to give himself a little bit of separation, and nobody picked up number 37 in the white jersey. A little over 2 minutes to go, and Maryland's not stopping offensively. No, first game of the year for them as well, Josh. You want to be able to get those good habits going offensively. 23 goals is the record for Maryland, which they set 2 years ago against the Panthers in the season opener. And with under 2 minutes to go, whether or not they're going to be able to hit that mark is still to be determined, especially with the delayed call coming up against the Terps on this High Point offensive possession as Nolting works down low. Fed over to the weak side, shot that goes wide. And now we'll get the call. Minute 30 to go, and High Point will have themselves another EMO. And an opportunity for Drew Morris to defend one as well. You see King Ripley, who's entered the game, the junior from Annapolis. As we wait for High Point to be able to re-trigger. 1 minute man-up opportunity for the Panthers. As the clock continues to wind down on the final moments of this game. Ball finds the cross of Nolting. Back up top. And now stepping into the shot and sailing it up and over is Lamb. Morris might have gotten a piece of that. And now Nolting back behind the crease. Nice feed inside, but couldn't be finished off by Mayea. Those two have linked up so often in this ball game. But we're into the final minute of what will be a season opening and tone-setting win for the Maryland Terrapins. But first, another nice shot and a nice goal from Jack Vanoverbeke.
Must have been a miscommunication there on the man-down defense from the Terps. I guess there's so many new players and that'll happen, but Vanoverbeke just finds himself wide open, too much space, and says, really? Really? Takes a couple steps, puts it in the top shelf.
That's 2 for Vanoverbeke, both from that pretty sharp angle. And plenty of velocity on the shot from the sophomore from Minnesota. End of the season really well last year, 7 goals in his last 5 games, and letting that momentum translate into 2022. And High Point will be awarded possession of the ball with about 35 seconds, in fact, make it left in the ball game. And we'll see if they do try to put one more attempt towards the goal of Drew Morris. 12 goals on 20 shots, as you see, for the Panthers. 21 goals on 29 shots for the Terps. Both teams 2 for 4 on the extra man opportunities. Maryland winning 22 of the 36 faceoffs. It was more lopsided at one point in time in the third quarter, and then Panthers were able to bring it back to a more respectable number. But Maryland with the majority of the possessions, the majority of the shots, and the number that matters most, the most goals. And about 15 seconds to go. High Point can look to muster one last attack. Shot that goes up and over. And the final seconds will tick out on what has been an excellent day for Maryland. And to spoil the party, a goal from Koby Russsell with 2 seconds to go.
Another consolation goal, but good for the Panthers to pour it on here at the end. Russsell finds the ball, goes low to low with the left.
Second of the day for Koby Russsell. As we mentioned, the Maryland native, and John Torpy's squad continuing to fight until the final whistle. But for Maryland, the number 2 next to your name comes with all sorts of expectations, and Maryland has met them and then some with a 21-goal performance here today in the opening day of College Park 2022.
Good performance from John Tillman's men. 29th consecutive season opener win. Just a good record and a good performance from them to try and get off the mark this season.
A tradition that continues to live on. February has been awfully kind to Maryland in its history. 5 goals from Logan Wisnauskas as he moves into a tie for 4th all-time in Maryland program history. 4 for Keegan Kahn, 2 more for Jonathan Donville, 4 for Owen Murphy as Maryland puts on an offensive clinic. For High Point on the other side, 5 goals for Mayea, 6 assists for Asher Nolting in the losing effort. Maryland moves to 1-0. For my partner Josh Caplan, director Thomas Mason, producer Jackie O'Mara, my name is Ben Curtis saying so long and see you real soon. Once again, your final score, Maryland 21, High Point 13. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant Saturday afternoon.